Good morning, students. Welcome back to History, third unit, from Chiefdoms to Empires. In a previous class, we had discussed about Janapadas, Mahajanapadas, the famous four important Mahajanapadas, then the four dynasties in Maghathas, which are the dynasty we have studied: Haryanga, Shishnaga, Nanda and Maurya. So up to Nanda dynasty we have studied. From this class we are going to see Mauryan Empire, that Maurya dynasty. Already I said that Maurya dynasty, it was the first, India's first empire. So what are the things we are going to see now? See, let's start. Mauryan Empire. It was that India's first empire. So its capital is Padaliputra. So in a current we are calling Patna, Bihar. Then the government, monarchy. Already I said in the previous class, monarchy means that place ruled by a king or queen. So that government was monarchy. Then historical era means period. So they ruled the places between 322 BC to 187 BC. So in this particular period they ruled the places in Magadha. Then that important kings. Who were the important kings in the Mauryan Empire? Chandragupta Maurya, Bindusara and Asoka. So the three were very important in this Mauryan Empire. So now we will see one by one. Maurya, and the Mauryan means Chandragupta Maurya was the first empire in this Mauryan Empire. So what happened in his period? That Mauryan, Chandragupta Maurya established the empire in Magadha. So he established the places. So he established in Magadha. Then Bhatrabahu. Bhatrabahu was a Jain monk. So what happened? Bhatrabahu took the Chandragupta to the southern India. He took him to the southern India. For what he took him? Because Chandragupta performed Selakana. What is Selakana? Selakana means in an ancient period they follow the system. That means Jain rituals in which a person facts unto his death. So he also performed the Selakana in Saravanbelagola. Saravanbelagola, it is in Karnataka. Now they are calling Karnataka. So from the Bhatrabahu took him to the southern India. He followed that Selakana. Then later he was died. After his period, his son Bindusara. Bindusara was a son of Chandragupta, Bindusara. He took over the places. So, his real name was Simhasena. So, Bindusara's real name was Simhasena. So, the Greeks, they call as Amitagraha. Amitagraha, that means the sailor of enemies. Sailor means, what is sailor? That means killer. Sailor means killer. So they called as killer of enemies. Why did they call? Because during Bindusara's region, the Mauryan Empire spread over large parts of India. So in his period, he extended the places. He covered large parts of India. That's why they are calling as the sailor of enemies. Then after, in a Bindusara's period, he appointed his son Ashoka. Ashoka was the son of Bindusara. So in his period, he appointed his son as a governor of Ujjain. So after his death, after his Bindusara's death, his son Ashoka took over the throne of Magadha. So now Ashoka take over the places. Ashoka was the most famous of the Mauryan Empire. If you see many empires, they ruled the places. But Ashoka was most important person in the Mauryan Empire. He was known as Devanapaya. He was known as Devanapaya. That means the beloved of the gods. Beloved of the gods. Because in the beginning, he followed that, what is that? The wicked things. But later when he started to follow the Buddhism, he changed his life. That's why they are calling the beloved of the gods. We will see in the next. Then, after getting that after got the overthrown the Magadha, he started the war, Kalinga war, in 261 BC. He was fought that Kalinga and he captured the place, Kalinga. So, the horror of the war was described. How he was, how he was fought with a Kalinga. That horror movements was described by the king himself. So, Asoka described himself in the Rock Edict 13. He described about the horror of the war in the Rock Edict 13. Because in a harsh way, he, fought with a Kalinga. That's why he captured the places. That's why then one of the historian, H.G. Wells, he said, one of the famous historian, Wells said, Ashoka shines and shines brightly like a bright star. Because of that, he extended the places, he fought, he conducted many wars, he defeated the wars, that's why he captured many places. That's why the historians said, Ashoka shines and shines brightly like a bright star. Even unto this day also, if we see any historical events, if we say any, mention any king's name, immediately we can say that name Ashoka. That's why still now he was shine. Okay, see, that line capital of Asoka. We know very well when we are studying about the national symbols, we have studied about the emblem. We use that emblem, that Saranath, that line 4 pages we are using. The emblem of the Indian Republic has been adopted from the line capital of one of the Ashoka's pillar located at Saranath. So, that Ashoka's, from the Ashoka's pillar only, we are taking that emblem of Indian Republic. So, the wheels, not only the emblem, the wheels also from the circular page at Ashoka's chakra is a part of the national flag. So, they are using the lines emblem as an Indian emblem. Then they are taking the wheels from that Ashoka chakra for that national flag. That's why it was very famous. Then they are calling Chanda Ashoka or Dhamma Ashoka. Chanda Ashoka means that Ashoka the weak. Weak means it's a bad thing. It's a bad. So they are calling as Ashoka is a Chanda Ashoka. Then again at the different part they are calling as a Dhamma Ashoka. What is that? After the battle of Kalinga, Ashoka became a Buddhist. Already I said in the beginning he ruled the places in a rude way. In a harsh way, he fought with the other places. But after the Kalinga war, he became into a Buddhist. So when he started to follow the Buddhists, his life totally changed. He undertook towards the Dharma Yatras. So after the war, he started many Dharma wars to different parts of the country, instructing people on policy of Dhamma. He not only followed the Dhamma, he instructed the people also follow the Dhamma in a non-violence. Then the meaning of Dhamma is explained in Ashoka's Pillar Edict 2. In a Edict 13, he mentioned about the horror of the war. In Edict 13. Same thing in Edict 2, he mentioned about the meaning of Dhamma. Next, it contained the noblest idea of humanism forming the essence of all religions. So, he spread the non-violence all over the world. He instructed the people also to follow that. So, he laid stress on, from that, compassion, charity, purity, saintliness, self-control, truthfulness, obedience, and respect for parents, predictors, and elders. Predictors means teachers. So, he has mentioned in that, he laid stress on which are the things: compassion, charity, purity, saintliness, self-control, truthfulness, obedience, respect for parents, preceptors, and elders. So he followed that all the things when he became into Buddhist. Not only he followed that, he changed his son and daughter also. Who was Ashoka's son? Mahinda. Mahinda was Ashoka's son. Then his daughter was Sanghamitta. So he sent his son and daughter to the Sri Lanka to propagate. Propagate means, what is it? That convey that, spread that Buddhist to the Sri Lanka. Then he also sent missionaries to West Asia, Egypt, Eastern Europe. Not only the Sri Lanka, he sent his missionaries to West Asia, Egypt, Eastern Europe to spread the message of Dhamma. Then the Dhamma Mahatmatas were a new cattle of official created by Asoka. So he created some officials groups. He sent his groups to all over the world to spread the Dhamma. Then Ashoka held on the third Buddhist council at the capital Padaliputra. So he conducted the third Buddhist council. We know very well, in a previous class I said, then who conducted the first Buddhist council? That Haryana dignities, Ashtar Chatru. He used that, convinced the first Buddhist council. Then second one, Shishnaga dignity, the Kalasoga. He convinced the second Buddhist council. Then third Buddhist council was convinced by the Ashoka. Then the edicts of Ashoka. What is edicts? Edicts means the inner official order or proclamation issued by a person in authority or a king. It's like a notes. Okay, it's a notes, edicts of Ashoka. So the 33 edicts on the pillars, where did they written the notes? In a pillars, boulders, and the cave walls. So totally 33 edicts on the pillars as well as the boulders and the cave walls, made by the Emperor Asoka. What are the things he described in the edicts? His beliefs in peace, then righteousness, justice, his concern for the welfare of the people. So these are the things he describes in his edicts. The next one, the scripts of the inscriptions. Which are the language he used? Which are the letters he used in his inscriptions? 3 languages. At Sanchi, he used Brahmi. Brahmi letters he used at Sanchi. Next, at Kandahar. At Kandahar, he used the Greek and Aramaic. Greek and Aramaic. In a northwestern part, he used that Karashoti. Karashoti he used. So these 3 letters he used in his inscriptions. The next one, the rock edicts 2 and 13 of Ashoka refer the names of the 3 dynasties. Again, in a Mauryan Empire, he mentioned the 3 dynasties' name in his edicts. What are the 3 dynasties? Namely, Pandyas, Cholas, then Keralaputras, and the Chhatraputras. So he mentioned the 3 dynasties' name in his edicts 2 and 13. What are the dynasties? Cheras, what is it? Not Cheras. Pandyas, Cholas, Keralaputras and the Kshatriya Putras. Now we are going to see the Mauryan administration. What are the administrations they followed in this period? Then how did they appoint the leader? How did they overcome the things? Everything we will see now. The Mauryan administration. The first one, already I said, this government was the monarchy. Monarchy means ruled by the king or queen. So if we take any one administration, the king was the main important person in their administrations. So now we will see one by one. First one, centralized administration. Centralized administration. The king was the supreme and sovereign authority of the Mauryan Empire. King was the important person. King was the supreme and sovereign authority of the Mauryan Empire. Then the council of ministers known as, how did they mention the councils of ministers? Council of ministers, they are calling as mantra, they are calling as mantra pradesh. Mantra pradesh, they called as the mantra pradesh, the council of members. Then they are calling the assembly of ministers, included Brohit, Senadipati, Mahamandri and Yuvaraja. So not only king and Mandra Pradesh, they are, what is it? Included Brohit, Senadipati, Mahamandri and Yuvaraj. Then the king had an excellent spice system. So in Ashoka's period, he was given more importance to the spice system. You know very well spice system means, without knowing they are sending one person to, what is it? Watching all the things what's happened inside the country. So he only used the spice system. This is centralized administration. Next one, revenue system. Second one, revenue system. So the land was the most important source of revenue for the state. That land only, it's very important source of the revenue system. Ashokan inscriptions and Lumni, that Ashokan inscription, Lumni mention Bali and Bagha. 2 systems, Bali and Bagha. What is Bali and Bagha? This is the tax system. It's mentioned in Lumbini, Bali and Bagha. So the land tax collected was 1/3 of 6. 1/3 of 6 was the total produce. So whatever they were produced, from that they are collecting 1/3 of 6 for the tax. Then the revenue from taxes on forest, mines, salt and irrigation provided additional revenue to the government. Not only the land. Apart from the land, they are getting the tax from the forest, mines, salt and irrigation provides. Then the search of the state revenue. So they are collecting the revenue from the land and the other things. How did they spend the amount to the others? So the state revenue was spent on paying the army. They are giving the salary to the armies, the official of the royal governments. Not only the armies, they are giving salary to the government people, then charities, and they are using the amount to use the different public works like road or irrigation works. They are spending the amount to pave the roads and use the irrigation works. So third one is judicial system. Third one is judicial system. Already I said king was the main in all the administration. So if we take the judicial system, the king was the head of the judiciary. King was the head. So the king was the high court of appeal. So if you want appeal in a high court. Again, king was the head of the high court, highest court of the appeal. Then the king appointed many judges. Not only he, given a judgment to the people, he appointed some judges to assist to him or support to him. The punishments were very harsh. So if he made any mistakes or if he did any faults in his government, that punishments were very harsh. Then fourth one, military administration. So here also the king was the supreme commander of the army. So again here also king was the supreme commander. Then the board of 30 members. So totally 30 members divided into 6 groups. If we take 6 groups, in each group 5 members are. 5 members were there. So a board of 30 members divided into 6 committees, then with 5 members. What are the committees he appointed? See, first one navy. First one navy. Second one armory. Armory means transport and supply. Armory. Third one infantry. Fourth one cavalry. Cavalry means the horse war. Then fourth one cavalry. Fifth one the war chariots. The sixth one the war elephants. So which are the administrations he made in a military? 6, totally 6. Navy, armory, infantry, cavalry, the war of chariots, the war of elephants. The next one, the municipal administration. Fifth one is municipal administration. Again same thing, it's followed in the municipal administration also. 30 members divided into 6 groups. In each group has 5 members. So the town administration was under Nagariga. He was the town administration was Nagariga. Then he was assisted by 2 members. Nagariga was assisted by 2 members, Santaniga and Koba. Chantaniga and Koba. He was assisted by the Chantaniga and Koba. The next one is currency. Which are the currencies they used in this Mauryan Empire, particularly Asoka's period? They used 2 types of coins, the silver coin and the copper coin. They used the coins not only for the trade purpose. They use the coins to give a salary to the army and the government officials. So they use the coins to give a salary and the trade purpose. So the punch mark silver coins, if you see the silver coins that carry the symbols of peacock, hill and the crescent. Crescent means half moon. So we can see the pictures, peacock, hill and the crescent. If you see the copper coins, it's called masakas. Silver coin called as panas, copper coin called as masakas. They used for only the imperial currency. Imperial currency means that royal currency. For the royal peoples only they use the coins. The next one is trade and urbanization. Trade. We know very well in the beginning they are making trade business with trading with the other countries. Same thing it's happened in Ashoka's period also. The trade flourished particularly with Greece, Malaya, Ceylon and Burma. So in Ashoka made a trade with 4 places, Greece, Malaya, Ceylon and Burma. The Arthashastra refers to the regions. Arthashastra, that Kaulia's Arthashastra, it refers that they made a business with the textiles, business with a few countries. See Kasi, Banaras, Vangas, Bengal, Kamarupa Assam, Madurai in Tamil Nadu. These 4 places are very famous for the textile business. It is in India, these 4 places are very famous for the textile business. Kasi, Banaras, Vanga, Bengal, Kamaruba, Assam, Madurai in Tamil Nadu. So, what are the main exports in Ashoka's period? Export. The spices, pearls, diamonds, cotton textiles, ivory works, then conch shells. These are the things they export. What are the main imports? Imports means they are getting from the other countries. The horses, gold, glassware, linen. So they export many things. At the same time they import the things also. Then next one, that art and architecture. So if you see the Mauryan art and architecture can be divided into 2. The art and architecture is divided into 2. The first one, indigenous art. Indigenous art means the native arts or domestic arts. Indigenous art. We can see that statues of yakshas and yakshis. Yakshas means male statues, yakshis means female statues. The second art, royal art. We can see that royal persons. Palaces and public buildings, monolithic pillars, rock cut architecture and stupas. So they divided into 2, indigenous art and royal arts, normal arts and the royal arts. If you see the normal arts, we can see statues of yakshas and yakshis. Yakshas means where deities connected with the water, then trees, fertility, forests and wild natures. So all the nature things we can see that deities. Yakshis were the female counterpart. So male and female they use the statues. Then royal part, buildings, then pillars, architectures, stupas. So we will see one by one that royal art. First one is stupas. Stupas means we know it's a semi-spherical dome. It's a spherical dome. That's called stupas. Like structures constructed on brick or stone. The stupas were made by the bricks or stone. The Buddha's relics. Relics means the remains parts. So till now, the Buddha's relics were placed in the center of the dome. They are believing that the center of the dome, the Buddhist relics means the remaining parts were placed in it. Then monolithic pillar. Already I said in our previous classes, monolithic pillar means they use the single stone. Mono means one. So they use the only one stone to make the pillars. It is in Saranath. So the governing element in this pillar is Dharma Chakra. So Dharma Chakra, it's mentioned in this Saranath pillar. Then beginning of rock cut architecture. So if we see the rock cut means 2 hills they used. The cut caves are Parabar and Nagarjuna hills. Parabar and Nagarjuna hills, it's a important resource of the rock cut architecture. See, if we see Parabar hills, there were several caves in the north of Bodh Gaya. We can see many caves, but the 2 hills are very famous. The 3 caves in Parabar hills have dedicated inscription of Ashoka. If we see Parabar hills, we can see that inscriptions describe that Ashoka. If we take Nagarjuna hills, it describes that Ashoka's grandson Dasaratha Maurya. Dasaratha, he was the grandson of Ashoka. So in a Parabar they have described about Ashoka. In the Nagarjuna hills they have described about the grandson of Dasaratha. So he did many things in his period. He followed that many administrations. He spread the Buddhist to all over the world. He export the things, then import the things. He used the coins, all the things he followed in his period. But what happened at the end? The reasons for the decline of the Maurya Empire. How it was declined. We will see first important that Asoka's successors means after his ruling, the next one, his son and their grandson, they are taking over the places. So after that, Asoka's successors were very weak. So they are mentally and physically, they are very weak. That's the first reason. Second one, the continuous revolts in different parts of the empire. So he captured many places, that's why he got many negative from the other peoples, other empires. So revolts, continuous revolts in different parts of the empires. This is the second thing. Third one, the invention by the Bactrian Greeks. Invention means that attack. Invention means attack. So he got the attack from the Bactrian Greeks, weakened the empire. So he got the attack from the Bactrian Empire. That's why he became very weak. The last one is last Maurya ruler. Brihadrata was killed by his commander. That ruler was killed by his commander Pushyamitra. So by his commander only he was killed. So after that only Sushunga who established Sushunga dynasty. So after the Maurya dynasty, Shunga dynasty was, what is that? Emergence established in this Magadha. That's why that that Maurya Empire was lost their destinies. Okay. So in this book, map work is given page number, see, page number 129, map works are given. So you go through the map. Maybe in an exam they will ask some places to mark in a map. So you just go through that page number 129. In a question, it's given the places, page number 139. Just go through the places, mark the places in a map. Okay, thank you students. Second term portions are over. We will see in the next class. Thank you.